Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. It's time to go through some news items that have come out over the last few days when it comes to War Thunder. I just want to let you know I had really bad food poisoning the last few days, so it's definitely haven't fully recovered, but we are getting there. The first little piece of news is you may remember that they did the Royal Air Force's birthday and they brought in a bunch of discounts for a ton of different vehicles. What's also happened on top of all of those vehicles is you can now get the RAF Day decal for 2025. This is going to be going from the 31st of March until the 3rd of April, and all you have to do is play 3 battles using British aircraft at rank 3 or higher, and you can get yourself a decal. It looks really nice. It's a Eurofighter with the British flag, or the United Kingdom flag past it, which is really cool. The other piece of news is for Japan, the A6M5 Ko and the A6M2 for the USA, temporary return for the A6M's first flight. So it looks like they're continuing to bring back old premiums. Looks like this is like the main thing that they're doing this year when it comes to this stuff. So we're going to have a look at both of these vehicles. They're not discounted. They're just back for the period of time from the 31st of March until the 4th. So hopefully people will enjoy them. Let's have a look at them in the game. So the first vehicle that's back is the A6M2. This vehicle is in the American tech tree, and it's basically a carbon copy of the standard A6M2 that you find in the Japanese tech tree. This is one of the oldest kind of premiums that were added to the game, and around the time when Gaijin was adding in these kind of captured premiums. They went away from this maybe like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, but it doesn't mean that these don't exist. So this one is rank 3, Bass Racing 3.7. It has a really nice climb rate, and if you've ever used the A6M2, you know how well it maneuvers as well. It also has access to not a crazy powerful engine, but one of the things it gets is super maneuverability. It's incredibly flexible to fly in arcade or realistic or even simulator. And since a lot of the vehicles for America around these BRs, if you have a look at like the rank 3 ones, they mainly have a lot of engine power, but they're also quite heavy. So they don't have really light kind of maneuverable fighters. So the A6M2 gives you something different compared to a lot of its competition. Now, the guns aren't exactly great. You have two 20mm Type 99s and then two 7.7s. Basically, if you get really close to a target and open up on them, you can do pretty well with these guns. And generally, you can, take out quite a lot of people. But it's kind of hard to be patient in order to do that, since the zeros have gone up in BR so much. They really don't actually, have enough engine power to be able to catch a lot of the enemies that go after you. So you have to engage people in turn fights and then get them to shoot at you and then hit them afterwards. And it's not that hard to do, but it's just something where it can be a little bit annoying. This thing also doesn't get any secondary armament, so it's only really that useful in a realistic or just the air modes in general. But it is really useful there. I would say that there's a lot better premiums on offer for America, just stuff like the XP50, for example, and even things like the BTD, but as an additional option, it is kind of interesting to see. The next vehicle is the A6M5 Ko. This one was available for the longest time in the Pacific pack for the Japanese, and was a fantastic pack that you could get when it was on offer. It's a rank 4, Battle Racing 5.3, and it's a vehicle that once again has kept going up in BR over and over and over again, just because it's been very good at what it does. The vehicle itself has once again two 20mm and then also two 7.7s, so basically the same armament as the A6M2 that we saw earlier. But one of the differences is the engine. This one has the Nakajima Sake 21, which means that it's a little bit faster and also generally a bit more maneuverable. This vehicle is really good in the general Japanese tech tree, which is why it's been going up in BR over and over and over again. It also does actually have access to some secondary ordnance, so you can use it in ground as well, which it can also be a very good air defense fighter against, a lot of other nations. The major problem with this is, once again, since it went up in BR so many times, the engine power isn't exactly great compared to a lot of the other vehicles that you face, but it's got insanely good defensive flight capability, and all you have to do is wait for a target to turn with you, and you'll be able to annihilate them. For me, I think this vehicle is incredibly good. And at, rank 4, there's a few other options which are also really good. Stuff like the A7 I, for example, which gives you a slightly different playstyle at 5.0. But the A6M5 Ko is still solid to be able to get you through the Japanese propeller tree. But I would also say there's a lot of already very good vehicles in the standard tech tree for Japan, so I don't think this vehicle is really needed. God, food poisoning is just kicking my ass. But one thing I did want to talk about in the rest of this video is obviously April Fools. We have the 1st of April tomorrow, which means that Gaijin will probably do an event for it, and we haven't really seen anything about it yet, so it's going to be interesting to see what kind of goes on. Usually they do bring like a pack back or something like that, or, something that people can buy, and then also they have an event which is kind of tied to it. There's been a ton of really interesting ones in the past. One of the ones which became prevalent for a few years was the crafting events, stuff like the Object 279, for example, and then also many other ones. They have also done the Mad Max stuff, which was pretty fun. They had the submarine stuff, which I didn't particularly like. They did the old kind of ship stuff, which was quite fun, and then also many others, like the Walkers, even, the My Little Pony stuff. I always thought it would be interesting once they get to like a specific anniversary, they could try and combine all of the old assets together, and then we could kind of see like the different setups for War Thunder. But I wanted to ask you guys, what would you like to see when it comes to all of this stuff? What is the things that in your mind that would be really fun to do or really fun to play? Is it like a more structured game mode where they test new ideas, or is it just something fun and silly that they throw around the place? For me, I honestly think fun and silly is much more interesting. Don't really like it when they just kind of test stuff in an environment like that, because it's just kind of dull. Like, it doesn't really do anything for me, and I don't like being a guinea pig for future mechanics. I think it's much more fun just to actually have a bit of fun, which I think, at least in War Thunder, that's something that's important. Unfortunately, when it comes to these things, there's always like people trying to work out, well, what's the difference, or what do they do, or what happens here, what happens there. Sometimes it's just nice just to relax and be like, wow, that was kind of interesting, and then let's move on and try something else, right? Sometimes it really is just that. And with War Thunder being a game nowadays where there's so many different things going on, it is just nuts trying to keep up with everything, and just having a bit of fun every once in a while is the best medicine for that. And I'm hoping that the April Fools can very much kind of show that. For me personally, I would really like just something that just takes away from all of the stuff that we have in War Thunder, something that is different, something that is a bit kooky, and something that kind of wanders about the place. And if not, at least something that's structured around something different, maybe some old mechanics, or maybe something that brings out the nostalgia in everything. I always thought that War Thunder in general had a very good opportunity to make stuff that was a bit more kind of what do you call it? A bit more like RTS-y or strategy-wise. So maybe they could do something like that while going around the place. Who knows? Maybe they'll bring in like customizable crew, which would be really cool. Maybe they'll bring in like customizable vehicles like Crossout. But whatever happens, I'm sure it'll be pretty fun. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.